not impressed. What an absolute unit. Huge power move drifting down the street in your drag car when premium's $6 a gallon. Well, made a major investment in premium fuel earlier, so I'm driving the Demon around and thinking through the hesitation I'm still having. Something I've been told to check by Dale and others is the adjustment on the secondary air door. Secondary? Anyway, I found it was pretty floppy, so, well, I'm not going to tighten the crap out of it, but I'm going to make an adjustment. We'll see what it does. Well, it did help in the transition area, but I still have that. I don't get it. Unless it is squirter fuel, which is, you know, what I thought the whole time. Well, we'll get there. There's a sweet running 340 in there someplace, I know it. It's close. It just has a weird dead spot. You know what happens when you power shift your 340A body on the street? Not traction, that's for sure. Man, for a second there, I thought I was gonna have a nice conversation with the local constabulary. Maybe they heard somebody was bang shifting in a little blue car on State Street. But no, not today. Note to self, fix oil leak. And figure out what that weird clanky noise is. I have a guess. Well, hello there. Noticed both the front marker lights are out. What kind of operation are we running around here? Editor's note. Much of the audio in this episode is terrible. The audio is terrible because I recorded a bunch of the video with my old phone. I recorded a bunch of the video with my old phone because it seemed like a good idea at the time. Also, it does macro shots. Yeah. Well, today seems like as good a day as any to replace the squirter in the Edelbrock and see if that fixes my hesitation, or at least slightly improves it. Go ahead and install the one I stole out of that perfectly good 340 out there. Oh yes. Should probably do something about this Chinesium dipstick. Looks like it got wrapped up in the crank again, so that is just fantastic. And the chrome's still flaking off. I suppose I could replace it with a perfectly good one from that perfectly good 340 swinger out there. I should really reseal the oil pan too, but, well, it doesn't seem to leak that bad, so. Oh yes, I'm coming to you this morning from my crappy old smashed retired phone. Because the less crappy, less smashed, not retired one is in the house uploading the video to the internets on the good Wi-Fi. The blue just doesn't pop, does it? Electricity! Lighting enough to see and work. What a good idea! Forgot to put the turbo springs in this thing. Now we're looking at the meat oven, and this is what we want to remove. Does that say 35? Hang on a second. Okay, the one on top's the one I'm taking out, 35. The one on the bottom says 31. Does that look like a 31 to you? No, I think I know what happened here. It's a totally different design, but it's probably supposed to have these brass inserts too, and someone did the delete. Oh, in theory, now we'll get a fire hose of fuel. Let's find out. We're learning stuff. Why is there only a dribble? You know, I noticed that when I first put the lid back on to test. The float levels are too low, and it's not fully filling the accelerator pump chamber. Hey, mystery solved. Now I just have to, you know, do it all again. Something else interesting I noticed here. This pump is not holding fuel pressure. It's leaking right back down. It says Edelbrock on it. I mean, it's handy, but I still feel like that might not be ideal. Now, I don't have the handy-dandy little precise measurator, but they look pretty close. They're supposed to sit pretty much symmetrical. Parallel. That's the word. Parallel. Does look like this one's sitting up a little bit. It's interesting, that line on there. Looks like they're down, like, all the time. Because fuel evaporates out of the carb. Well, I'm going to raise them a skosh and see what happens. Gave it a tiny little nudge. Hopefully that does it. Well, this is interesting. I left the fire hose nozzle in. I set it to the lightest setting. And it's the best it's ever been, but still weird, right off idle. But only if you punch it. Okay, I'm gonna go scratch my head some more. You know, after all the nice things I said about factory Chrysler charging systems, this crap's getting a little old. This thing was just shooting sparks in there and doing horrible stuff. Maybe that's why it didn't charge when I revved it up the other day and killed the battery. And this is just goofy. These shouldn't even be screwed on. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm about to get tired of it. Let's match this thing with a hammer and put a one wire on it. Just cannot have anything nice. Okay. In case you're keeping track at home, that's 2 nice, new, screwed up alternators. So, yeah, everything's going terrific. I guess we'll drive the Swinger today. Well, see how Old Faithful's doing. Haven't driven it in like 2 weeks. I've been busy. Yes. What an absolute unit approaching device anyway. Man, whoever tuned this thing did a darn decent job. Whatever nut job that was. I forgot about the brakes. They're no better. Today is tomorrow. I need to get my broken car fixed so I can get to work. Or, well, I got options, but anyway. I meant to grab brush pieces from a random core at the shop, but I forgot. So I have 2 choices. Either repair this mess or part out the original date code correct 340 alternator. Okay, I mean, technically I have more choices than that, but this one's messed up too. Okay, you better cooperate today. If you do, I'll reward you with a bath. Oh, and by the way, the stumble seemed no better. Well, so much for that. Dang it, just realized the chrome one is a square back and the original is not, which means the brush holder is different. Yay! Found one. I'll just borrow it. And I'm sure Dustin won't mind. He'd probably support this decision. Yeah, that alternator's coming out of there anyway. Huh. I guess that's just what these are like. Interesting. Yes. I just realized why all this is happening. A good few months ago, I made a video on Chrysler charging systems. My main point was they're easy to understand and diagnose and repair. And Chrysler spent more than enough money to ensure that those parts would function. You don't need to throw them away and get a one wire. In a comment on that video, kind of funny, someone said, brushes. That was the whole comment. And I responded and said, not once have I had to mess with brushes on these alternators. I'm pretty sure that's what's wrong with both of these. So anyway, let that be a lesson to you. My only problem now is the wiring in the car has been converted to a loop connector for some reason, and well, this is a factory spade. Here's the metal strap from the brush holder in the chrome alternator. You can see there where it was rubbing on the fan and shooting sparks out and doing bad stuff. I think the simplest thing would be to knock that off and sandwich this onto the new one. I really don't want to resolder the brush. That seems like way too much work. Well, putting it back together was a lot harder than it looked. And hopefully it stays together. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. Let's test it. Liking it so far. Alright, fixed, I think. There's way less fire in there now. Nice! For science, let's see what this does. Okay. That is certainly fuel, but it doesn't feel like very much right here. Yeah, in fact, there's nothing right here. Until the very bottom, there is no fuel. Well, how does that make sense? You want to know how I'm onto it here? I know what's going on. It's exactly the same with the pump completely unhooked. Okay. Working theory. Maybe there's no check ball in there and it's leaking back off that way. Of course, if I'm right, I don't have parts here to fix it, but at least we'll know. All right, well, I know what it is. That's the good news. Now I gotta go dig through a decades-long hoard of carburetor rebuild kits and look for a check ball and a weight. And we'll see what happens from there. No, I'm not planning on getting tired of this. Well, gotta knock the dust off every once in a while. Meth! Not even twice. Somebody locked themselves in this car and then couldn't figure out how to unlock the door, which, you know, isn't hard at all. So they kicked out my window. Not in, out. For fuck's sake. No, I'm not gonna have a good one. I've never had a good one. I don't know what a good one is. When Dale said the wiper seal leaked, he wasn't kidding. Tell you what, after the air door adjustment, this thing's running better than ever. Just one little thing left. I think I got it figured. I think everything I need to fix the accelerator pump problem is in this baggie. And if that works, I'm gonna be really excited. Maybe just excited enough to fix the oil pan and maybe reseal the intake. And then, and only then, we can go drag racing again. Oh, and then this poor thing will get some attention. It's okay. Your turn is coming. Today is yet another tomorrow. And we're going to try and fix this thing once and for all. And then, probably, tune the carburetor again. Well, I'm getting pretty good at taking this thing apart, and I thought I'd be clever and pop the accelerator pump rod clip by hand. It shot at me, bounced off my forehead, and went down there somewhere. And it's gone forever. Luckily, I have parts. Yeah, I almost lost that one too. Oh, notice crappy old phone actually does macro shots. Wow. You can tell how goofy the lines on my hands are. If you're keeping score at home, I've had the top off this carb like 700 times now. Hey, there's definitely fuel in the well now, so that's good. You may have realized by now, as I have, that if I'm right, and it's just an accelerator pump bleed-off problem, once that's fixed, every tuning change I've made is probably wrong. Can't wait. Now, I looked at the diagram for the Edelbrock, and it shows an accelerator pump check ball and a weight. Out of 5 carburetors I've checked, none of them had it. Of course, the nozzles were off at 3, and they've been rolling around in my collection for God knows how many years. So anyway, I came up with options. Option 1 is this, which I actually robbed out of a Holly double pumper. That should work well. Option B, 2, Bravo, is a check ball, but I didn't find a weight, so I guess we'll see. I'm going to do a little testing here with the carb apart, so hopefully I don't have to do this 17 more times. Also, I think I'm going to take the fire hose nozzle back off and put the 35 back on. See what that does. Okay, forget everything I just said. I just didn't notice before. This one has a check ball and a spring. Time to do some science. Well, I actually think the ball was stuck. I got it out with some science. And then I lost it. It's with Jesus now. I've read that they do get stuck occasionally, and the fix is A, a bigger ball, or B, the little nozzly thing I found. So let's give that a try. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, I tried the little spacer needle thingy majig with the spring on top, but it's too tall, and it worked, gave a nice stream, but it barely let the fuel through. So let's try this. This is just the spacer. Wow. Hey, that actually does something now. Okay, let's go with that. I went ahead and reversed course on a previous decision and deleted the choke. And if you are going to delete the choke, you want to make sure you have a spare parts carb sitting around that was manual choke with a little pluggy thing for the vacuum port. Because if we don't plug the vacuum port, it'll be angry. Getting a hammer. Tiny hammer. I really deleted the choke because I get the feeling I'm going to have this thing off a million more times. And because it looks cooler. Now, I really do listen to suggestions, and I try to take the best ideas and put them all together into the correct answer. And if you're in the background, livid, veins popping out of your neck, screaming at this point, quit wasting your time, put a Holley double pumper on it. I hear you. And that was my plan. However, I'm having fun. And I think, maybe, just maybe, I've stumbled across the essence of hot rodding. Making crap work. Let's see if it works. Oh yeah. Looks fantastic. You know, if I deleted just a little bit of this air horn, I could swap those really easily. 9 a.m. seems like a good time for full throttle test hits, right? Ah, yes, of course. Perfect drag car test weather. It has an accelerator pump now, so that's good. Tell you what, after the air door adjustment, this thing didn't even want to stick to dry pavement, like not even a little. So, probably won't stick in the wet either, I suspect. But we gotta test it. Very slight hesitation rolling into the throttle. You know, I richened the cruise up quite a bit. So we could have too much fuel. Well, still hesitation. You can just make an educated guess and say, I've got too much fuel, and bump the needles down. Maybe put weaker springs back in. It's a thought. I mean, it pulls, it's just not ideal. Cemetery. They wouldn't mind if we went and did donuts in there, would they? It's not bad. It's just a little like there always was. I think we'll go back to the needles and springs that were in it. Just to test. See which way that goes. Sure smells rich. This would make sense. Oh yes, and if you're still upset about the mud, 2 of my Caucasian friends have now failed to show up and even give me a quote. So that's good. You really shouldn't pull plugs and reinstall them in aluminum heads when they're hot. And since I know the rules, I'm allowed to bend them. Yeah, the best way to describe what these plugs look like would be rich as hell. 7052 Yellow Springs. Hey, we're getting there now. That's really, really close. The huge bog when you flat-footed is gone. There's still a little coming up. I'll bet you most of the time driving, that is just going to be fantastic. But when you flat-footed, it's still a little funky. I tried less squirter. Actually made it worse. So it's not that. I think the transition is covered. It's when it gets into the mains, it's still a little rich, I'm guessing. Because it only went one stage lean, cruise and power, and it got that much better. So do I go 2 stages lean? Power or cruise? Or both? Is it before the piston pops up or after? I think it's probably after because it's when the vacuum goes away. So I should go 1 stage lean cruise, 2 stage power. Let's see if I have that. Well, I'd like to be here, but here doesn't exist, so I guess it's here. Position 21, 7057. I'll be dipped. Now, going 2.5 stages lean on the power side of things might just be a great way to melt holes in pistons and blow stuff up. But it might also just be the way to make this thing run sweet. So I guess we'll find out which and hope for the latter. Man, it's weird when the rods drop right in without a fight. It's almost worrying. Oh boy! Oh, it's fixed. Now we gotta go test it again. Before we test it, I need to write it down in the notes before I forget everything I did. Can't make this up. The sun's peeking out. This is a sign. Or it's just, I don't know, weather. Getting out of the driveway, I noticed the tiniest of hesitations. Not even a hesitation, just a quick little heh. That was definitely on the cruise side, so maybe it's a skosh lean cruise now? Oh, it's so much better though. Okay. Yeah. I think it needs to go a skosh rich cruise. Stock cruise, lean power, 2.5. Whatever, it's fine. The point is, it's getting close. It's not perfect. Let's go test it anyway. And then get coffee. I love coffee. This road's actually closed now so they can make a roundabout. It's a little inconvenient. That was interesting. Too much timing now? Sure sounded like a pain. Maybe all the fuel was masking that. Kitty, get out of the road! I'm gonna try really hard not to whip this thing around backwards. It's the garbage can CUDA that's really tail happy. Maybe it's just a rattle, that's not pinging. Yeah, there is just the slightest hesitation, and I think it's before the piston pops down. Right in the transition. Right, maybe it needs a stage heavier spring so it transitions faster. Or just rich in the cruise. Is this getting too scientific? I just wanted to run nice. And it's getting pretty close. You know, the 68, I'm pretty sure just has an out-of-the-box Edelbrock, and it's perfect. Or almost perfect. little easier on second gear. It's smart. I just realized I'm very far from home with no cell data. Because my normal phone is still in the kitchen. Uploading. You're welcome, by the way. Oh yeah, in case you missed it, I broke this. It was brand new. Typical. Something kind of smells hot, but I've chosen not to worry about that. Man, this thing's good fun. Of course, it's a crappy day for burnouts. Might just have to try anyway. Now, did I build the car? No. But at this point, I think I can be proud of the way it runs. Got quite a bit of time into, you know, learning Edelbrocks. Alright, one more for posterity. I live in Grays Harbor, guy. Fortunately, I don't have much choice. Alright, well, I think we'll go put this thing back in the garage and kick back and enjoy the fact that it kind of runs okay now. Whee! Oh yeah, buddy. 70 degrees, about 60 psi oil pressure. I'm happy. I'd be happier if it wasn't, you know, raining in June. Well, there you are. Tuned, tested. What an absolute unit. It's almost perfect. It's pretty darn good. And it's wet. Maybe next time on Dead Dodge Garage, we'll make this thing work again. And just in time for summer. Thanks for watching. And remember, every mushroom is edible once.
I got it stuck.
Now you've done it. I don't think that should be in there.
No.
Well, went for a nice cruise this evening and the jury's in. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Still some weirdness that it'll suddenly snap out of. And I know it's when the piston is either going up or down. I just haven't quite pinpointed which one. But I'll get it. Yes, yes it is.
Chihuahua.
Chihuahua.
Chihuahua car.